Have you ever seen the anime called Oshinoko? It tells the story of a young performer, Ai Hoshino, who rises through the brutal Japanese entertainment industry, only to be tragically killed by one of her fans. It's a haunting fictional tale, but what if I told you something eerily similar happened in real life? Only this time, the girl wasn't just a character. Her name was Ai, too. Mogami Ai. But unlike the anime, when she was murdered, the world didn't come running to her defense. Instead, some people pointed fingers at her. This is the real story of a young woman who was stabbed to death during a live stream, a horrifying incident that peeled back the glittery surface of Japan's streaming world and revealed something much darker underneath. Let's rewind to March 11th, 2025. It was a beautiful day in Tokyo. The sky was clear, the streets of Takadanobaba and Shinjuku were calm, just your average weekday afternoon. But then something unspeakable happened. A young woman was walking down the street, phone in hand, casually live streaming her stroll for her viewers. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a man rushed toward her, and right there on camera, he pulled out a knife and stabbed her again and again. As she collapsed, bleeding out on the pavement, the man didn't stop. He kicked her limp body while people screamed. A nearby police officer managed to intervene, but it was too late. The girl's blood was already staining the concrete. News of the murder spread fast, and the headlines were just as disturbing. Young woman live streams her own death, stabbed in broad daylight in front of hundreds of viewers. People were shocked. How could something so violent, so horrifying happen right there in the open? To understand that, we need to know who Ai really was. Her real name was Sato Airi. She was only 22, born in Tama City, Tokyo. Her life wasn't easy, far from it. A friend later revealed that Aidi's mother was often drunk, stumbling around the streets, leaving young Aidi to survive on her own. That kind of neglect, it leaves scars. When Aidi got older, she moved to Yamagata and worked as a hostess at a cabaret club. But even there, her mother would show up, slurring her words, telling staff, "Leave it to Aidi, she will pay." It was humiliating. And somewhere along the way, Aidi started following in her mother's footsteps. She began drinking heavily, really heavily. Her friend said she'd leave her baby, barely a year old, at daycare until late in the evening, sometimes not picking him up until nightfall. People around her were concerned. They warned her, scolded her, but nothing seemed to change. Eventually, the government stepped in. Her child was taken into protective custody. That moment broke her. Her friend remembered seeing her crouched behind the cabaret club, sobbing uncontrollably. She quit her job soon after, couldn't keep it together anymore. And after that, she spiraled, drinking all the time, no job, no income, but still chasing the illusion of glamour. She posted flashy pictures online, posing with luxury items that weren't even hers. She crafted a persona, an influencer-like image, pretending to live a lavish life while everything behind the scenes was falling apart. Now, despite everything she'd been through, Aidi wasn't someone who gave up easily. She had a bright, outgoing personality. She loved talking to people, really connecting, and that's what led her to try something new. She moved to Tokyo and decided to start streaming, not on YouTube, not on Twitch, but on a smaller, up-and-coming Japanese platform called WhoWatch. It was made for people like her, people who wanted to stream but didn't have a fancy gear or studio setups. Their motto was simple: anyone can become a streamer. All you needed was your phone. So that's exactly what Aidi did. She created an account. She started going live. Her streams were nothing flashy, just her talking to the camera, reacting to chat messages, telling stories. But people loved her energy. Her voice had this warm, casual rhythm to it, and she made everyone in the comments feel like they were part of her world. Viewers started tipping her, not huge amounts at first, but enough to keep her going. And over time, she built a real following, more than 2,600 people who came back to watch her again and again. She became known among fellow streamers too. She joined side events, collaborated with others, and always showed up. One streamer who knew her later told NHK that Ai was a hard worker, someone who really cared about what she did. She wasn't just chasing fame, she was building something. And that's when she found her groove with a style of streaming called soto haishin, or outside streaming. Basically, it's just walking around with your phone, talking to your chat, showing the world around you in real time. It sounds simple, but it comes with risks, especially for female streamers. Because when you're live, people can figure out where you are, and some of them, called stream snipers, they will track you down, show up in person, uninvited, unhinged. Still, Ai kept going. She changed her screen name to Mogami Ai, and started gaining even more attention. Her name began appearing alongside some of the platform's top creators. But with that fame came pressure. In the streaming world, your income and your survival depends on the viewers. And for women, especially, some fans expect more than just content. They expect attention, emotion, a relationship, even if it's all in their heads. Ai was no exception. Some fans grew possessive, entitled. But to keep her numbers up, she had to play the game. She kept streaming, kept smiling, and soon she was earning between 1 to 2 million yen, a good income for an independent streamer. She also started experimenting, trying new styles, doing more collabs, and that's when she came up with something she called the Yamanote Circle Project. The idea was simple: walk around the entire Yamanote train line in Tokyo, live streaming the journey. She reached out to Masayan, a veteran streamer she'd worked with before, and asked for tips. He shared what he knew, wished her luck, and told her to stay safe. But the next day, his good wishes weren't enough. March 11th, 2025. Clear skies, great weather for streaming. Ai started her Yamanote walk, chatting with viewers, laughing, playing a little tipping game where she'd roll dice based on how much she got. But as she approached JR Takadanobaba station, just 350 meters away, a man appeared. He had a knife. He was coming straight for her. She tried to run. Viewers heard the panic in her voice. The camera shook, but he caught up. And when he did, he stabbed her again and again, targeting her chest, her neck, even her face. Reports said she suffered around 30 stab wounds to her upper body, all while the stream was still rolling. It was supposed to be a fun outdoor event, but it ended in blood, chaos, and silence. Witnesses say it started with a scream. Around 9:50 a.m., a man in his 50s, just working at his office nearby, heard a woman yelling for help. She screamed for over 20 seconds. So he walked over to the window, looked outside, and saw something he would never forget. There was a young woman lying on the ground, dressed in gray pants. She wasn't moving. Blood was pooling around her body. Next to her, a man dressed all in black stood calmly at her feet. So calm, in fact, that the witness thought maybe he was helping. Maybe she'd been hit by a car or fainted and this man had rushed over to help. But it wasn't that. Another witness later said he saw the man walk right up to her, not to help, but to grab her phone, look directly into the screen, still streaming, and then kick her. 10 whole minutes passed before the police arrived and arrested him on the spot. Ai, still conscious for a moment, managed to open her eyes during the attack. But the injuries were far too severe. She was rushed to the hospital, but just 80 minutes later, she was pronounced dead. Police found 2 knives on the suspect. One was a 13-centimeter long survival knife, the one used to stab her. The other remained unused. The news spread like wildfire. After all, the whole thing had happened on camera. And as journalists scrambled for details, a strange statement came from the head of the investigation team. He said the suspect's name wouldn't be released because, quote, this wasn't an indiscriminate killing. There was a problem between the suspect and the victim. He added that the man showed signs of mental instability. But it didn't take long for the truth to come out. Online, the suspect's name was already circulating. Kenichi Takano, a 42-year-old man from Okayama City, living alone in Tochigi Prefecture. And people started asking, who was he to Ai? Why did he do this? Before we get into the motive, let's rewind and look at Kenichi's life before the killing. He lived alone, distant from his parents, but not completely estranged. As a child, he used to visit his grandparents often. A friend of his said that Kenichi, or Ken, as people called him, was kind, talkative, honest, but incredibly shy. He wasn't good at socializing, didn't open up easily. He once said he didn't feel like he had anyone he could really share his burdens with. By day, Ken worked a modest job, from 9:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at a company that sold figurines and collectibles online. After work, instead of going out or socializing, he'd head straight home. His nights were spent playing Monster Hunter, Pokemon, or doing casual game commentary online. Sometimes he'd stop by a bar, but that was about it. And like many lonely people these days, he found comfort in live streams. He became one of Ai's regular viewers sometime in late 2021. A fan, a familiar name in her chat room. He tipped her sometimes, interacted with her during streams, and eventually, he got closer. By December 2022, Ken and Ai had met in person for the first time. The setting is debated. Some say it was a bar, others say a restaurant or cabaret club. But after that, they exchanged line IDs and started messaging each other regularly. And that's where things start to shift. In Japan's streaming world, especially among female streamers, a huge percentage of the fan base is male. And a lot of those men develop parasocial relationships. They start to feel like they know the streamer, like they're dating them, like they're owed something. People speculated that this is exactly what happened between Ken and Ai. Some even went so far as to say, Ken fell in love, Ai rejected him, and he snapped. But there may have been more to it than that. In Ai's final live stream, just before her murder, viewers noticed something strange. One account kept commenting, "Return the money you borrowed." And that opened the door to a whole new theory. An article by Koki.jp reported that Ai and Ken actually met earlier than most people thought, around August 2022, when Ai was still working as a hostess in Yamagata City. Ken was a frequent customer. He'd visit the bar often, and as many hosts do, Ai told him stories, sad ones. She said her life was hard, that her sisters left her with debts, that she wanted to start over but couldn't afford to. It pulled at Ken's heartstrings. At first, the money he gave her was small, a few hundred yen here and there, maybe 50,000 yen once in a while. But over time, the requests grew. She allegedly pressured him to help more, sometimes even to take out loans. And where did all that money go? According to that same report, to host bars, male host bars. Ai would spend extravagantly on the hosts, buying luxury items, drinking expensive liquor, all while projecting an image of wealth and glamour to those around her. Now here's where things take a darker turn. According to one of Ken's close friends, Kenichi Takano wasn't wealthy, not even close. He had worked hard and slowly saved up about 1.5 million yen. That was everything he had, his entire life savings from a modest day job. But Ai kept contacting him. At first, it was innocent. "I forgot my purse. Can you help me out? I'm stuck on the road and I need money." Ken wanted to help, and he did, First, it was 50,000 yen, then 500,000, and little by little, the amount grew. At one point, I asked him for millions of yen to help with her financial struggles. And Ken gave it to her. When he ran out of savings, I allegedly told him just borrow from a loan shark. So he did. Ken went to 2 different lenders, took out 500,000 yen from each, and handed that money over to Ai too. In just 4 months since they first met, Ken had given Ai 2.5 million yen, which is around 16,000 US dollars. That's not just a dent, that's a financial collapse for someone like Ken, who earned only about 160,000 yen a month and was already struggling to make ends meet. His friends said Ken lived simply, he barely got by. Streaming was his only escape, but tragically, it also became the reason he fell deeper into debt. Ken kept messaging Ai again and again, and each time she would say something like, "I will pay you back with interest, just wait a little longer." But months passed and nothing came. When I went live, Ken would show up in the comments, begging for answers. "When will you pay me back? Where is my money?" But she never responded. Eventually, Ken had enough. In December 2023, he filed a lawsuit. The Tochigi branch of the Utsunomiya District Court confirmed that Ken had officially sued Ai for the money she owed him. The court ruled in his favor, ordering Ai, legally known as Sato Airi, to pay 2,514,800 yen, plus 3% annual interest until it was repaid. But again, Ai didn't pay. And meanwhile, Ken was being hunted by loan sharks. The anxiety, the phone calls, the fear, it started to break him. And all the while, he was watching Ai live a completely different life. One day, as he scrolled through her social media, he saw something that shattered him. Ai wasn't struggling. She was smiling. She was with her fiance, staying in what looked like a luxury condo, taking expensive trips, posing in designer clothes. Her fiance, he was reportedly the CEO of Ornis Company Limited, a man with status, a stable job, a future. And Ken had nothing, all because of her, he believed. In his eyes, she lied, manipulated him, used him, and now she was out there, happy and carefree, while he was being crushed by a burden she promised to fix. That anger grew into rage, that heartbreak twisted into revenge. So Ken decided, she needs to feel what I felt. He told investigators that he never planned to kill her, just to scare her, maybe hurt her, make her understand the pain she caused. So he began to plan. Ken followed her every move through her socials, tuning into her live streams to track where she'd go next. Then one day he saw it, the post about her Yamanote line walk. She was going to be alone, outside, streaming, live. It was the perfect opportunity. The days ticked by, and then March 11th arrived. Tenichi Takano woke up, packed 2 survival knives, put on a mask and a hat to hide his identity, and tuned into Ai's live stream. He watched her every move, trying to figure out where she was, and when he was sure, when he recognized the street and the buildings behind her, he made his move. She didn't see him coming, and that's when it all happened. Investigators said Ken appeared nervous, almost timid, just as his friend had described, a quiet, socially awkward man who was never violent. But the investigation didn't stop there. As police dug deeper into the case, the truth about Ai's financial troubles and her connection with Ken began to unravel. And when the news broke, public sympathy shifted. At first, fans flocked to the crime scene. They left flowers, her favorite snacks, heartfelt messages. It was a tribute, a memorial for a young woman whose life had ended far too soon. But when reports came out about the money, the loans, the debt, the alleged manipulation, some people turned cruel. People kicked over the flower tributes. They spat at the scene. Online, comments flooded in. She used him. She got what she deserved. A private line chat between Ken and I leaked online, fueling more speculation. In the text, I appeared to downplay the debt, while Ken pleaded for repayment. But others pushed back. They asked if Ken had already won a lawsuit. Why resort to violence? Why didn't he wait for the legal process? Ken's friend responded plainly. He was too poor. He couldn't afford another lawsuit. As online hatred against Ai reached its peak, someone else came forward. A man named Yui Taiken, 33 years old, who claimed to be Ai's fiance. He started posting under the name Mogami Yui, trying to set the record straight. He said that most of what people were saying online was fake. A well-known manga creator, Yashiro Azuki, even backed him up, saying Yui and Ai did know each other personally, and yes, they were engaged. Yui started sharing his timeline. He said he and Ai began dating in July 2023 and moved in together by August. He claimed he gave her monthly allowances, supported her financially, and even took out a 2 million yen loan to help pay off her debts. According to him, Ai told him about Ken, but never gave him Ken's contact information or address. Yui said she had been paying Ken back in small installments using the money he provided, but Ken continued to harass her by posting in her Livestreamed chat, which, according to Yui, disrupted her income and emotional well-being. Then on March 16th, just 5 days after Ai's murder, Yui went live on Who Watch under the name Mogami Yui. The stream lasted for 6 hours before his account was suspended and the video deleted. He later tried to upload it to YouTube, but it was removed again, this time for privacy violations. In that stream, Yui revealed even more. He didn't know Ai had a child. She told him the baby was her sister's. He also said Ken and Ai may have once lived together, and that Ai may have owed him just 800,000 yen during that time, an amount that mysteriously ballooned into 2.5 million yen in court. Yui claimed Ken had emotionally manipulated Ai into a relationship, demanding repayment through intimacy. But Ken's friend strongly denied that, saying Ken never asked for his live stream tips to be repaid. He only wanted back his life savings and the money from the loan sharks. Even as Yui kept releasing evidence, people began to question his role. Where was he when Ai was being attacked online? Why didn't he step in when Ken asked her to pay the debt? After all, Ken had already taken her to court. They could have contacted him through legal channels, paid the debt properly. Ken even said he was open to a repayment plan, just 10,000 yen per month, yet Ai never followed through. Then came another revelation. Ai's bank account only had 800 yen in it. So how was she still living in luxury, traveling, staying in expensive condos, buying designer goods? Where was the money coming from, and where did it all go? As of now, the case is still ongoing. Ken's legal team and Ai's fiance Yui continue to release more claims, more statements, more proof. Yui, meanwhile, keeps reposting a tweet asking the chilling question. If Ken didn't mean to kill Ai, then why did he stomp on her body and record it on his phone? No major news outlet has released an official stance, and the court has yet to reach a final ruling. So now I will ask you, what do you think? Was this murder truly just about money? Do you believe Ken or Yui? Or is there more to the story than any of us can fully understand? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And that is all for today. Thanks for watching.